I had a senior moment earlier on. I hadn't charged my phone. Important this morning that the phone can receive calls, because we are hit for any kids that might be in trouble and need a safe place. So we are hit this weekend. It's a holiday weekend, and they try desperately hard not to put us in this position, but we're here. Everybody else is on a holiday, so we're here. And the positive is, praise God, there's been no phone call. Now that's not to say that, there aren't kids in trouble, but there aren't kids in enough trouble that they need to find a new safe place. So we praise God for that. So if you see Helen kind of scooting about, it's because we had a phone call and she needs to go. So give praise for that. Gregor and I were talking last week about Aaron and Aaron's future, and we were kind of saying that Helen and I, the difference in the boy is remarkable, I think, and the more I get to hear, the more remarkable the change in the boy is. They deliberately, I think, didn't tell us all the facts at the start. Good shout. But Helen and I are in agreement that we, at the moment, we have responsibility for Aaron in the short term. We would like to make that a more permanent thing, and look for the future. And the powers that be would still, he'll be 5 in a few weeks, and the powers that be would still really want to see him adopted. And that's not to say we wouldn't do that in the future, but that's not where we're at right now. But we've made it known that, we would like the opportunity, and we think it would be in the best interests of Aaron just to leave him alone and leave him with us. And we keep getting this, adoption. So you need to write a letter. If you want to kind of change your status with a child, you need to write a letter. And we've put it off because, to be honest, they keep coming back with adopt. And on Friday, Gregor and I had been talking about this last week. I'd asked Gregor to kind of pray about this. And I got a phone call on Friday from my social worker. Say, have you written the letter yet? I was like, well, no, and here's why. Write the letter. So we'll write the letter this week. So again, I'd mention that, just that you would pray for it, and that whatever's best for Aaron, that's what would happen. Yeah. So. He's coming on leaps and bounds. Yeah, he's coming on. Yeah. He's mostly happy. Yes. He is. Yeah, he absolutely is. Yeah, he's a changed boy. It's cool. It's good. It's all right. Thank you. You'll all know that story anyway. Agnes asked me last week, "Are you all right?" She was quite concerned for me. "Are you all right?" And I thought, thanks for asking. I'm okay. I'm tired. I'm a bit down, but I'm okay. My face isn't very good at hiding how I'm feeling. I haven't mastered that one yet. I haven't mastered the grin that covers it all. What you see is what you get. Sometimes it's good, sometimes not so good. And been a hard week, hard fortnight to be honest, with a variety of things. And I guess I'm not alone in that. And I just kind of I want to encourage you, if you're in that position where you're just a wee bit kind of back's against the wall and you're like, where am I going? What am I doing? I just want to share some words of what I hope will be encouragement to you. You all know the story in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 8. Jesus calms the storm. Jesus, his disciples, verse 23 through to 27. Jesus and his disciples are in the boat. Jesus is sleeping. A storm comes out of nowhere and the waves whip up and there'll be wind and there'll be noise, and the disciples are struggling just to keep the boat going in the direction that they want. They're struggling to keep the water out of the boat and to keep the boat afloat, and meanwhile Jesus is sleeping in the front, And some stuff said between the disciples and Jesus, but ultimately what's important is Jesus gets up and just tells the waves and the wind, enough, and it stops. And I want to encourage you this morning that in those storms, those trials of life, where you've done everything that you can, ain't it good that Jesus is there just to say, enough, and to calm things down? That despite our best efforts, actually, we've not really made that much of a difference, and here's this almighty Saviour that just steps in and goes, calm, peace, chill. Maybe you need that intervention this morning. Maybe you need Jesus just to step in this morning and just be still. If you're in that position this morning, I hope that you hear Jesus' voice, and whatever's bothering you is still, and that it calms down. You'll be aware also of the story in the Gospels. Jesus sends his disciples on ahead. He sends them in the boat. He says, I'll meet you way over there. And the disciples get into the boat and they make their way over. And Jesus stays behind, deals with whatever he's got to do. And I guess in the disciples' minds, they're kind of wondering, how's he going to get here? Not thinking for one moment that actually he's just going to walk. And he's not going to walk around the water. He's just going to take the most direct route. And he walks on the water. And again, there's a bit of a storm, isn't there? There's, the wind kind of gets up a wee bit and the waves kind of get up a wee bit. Peter sees Jesus and says, wow, that's really, really cool. I want to be able to do that. Can I do that? Jesus, well, come on. And Peter gets down out of the boat and he's walking on the water. And you'll have heard it said that as long as Peter's got his eyes on Jesus, it's all cool. And he's walking on the water and everything's fine. Somewhere in the midst of it all, Peter takes his eyes off Jesus and starts actually looking at the height of the waves, and he's listening to the wind. I was really interested in the song. I'd never seen the line before, the different voices of the wind. That's one for me to ponder. I liked that. That was really cool. And the voice that Peter's hearing is, be afraid, be very afraid. I'm coming for you. Because he's seeing the storm, because he's taking his eyes off Jesus. And he starts to kind of sink. Jesus comes and gets hold of him and lifts him up. And I don't, I guess if I was to try and lift one of you get people up from the floor. Never mind the water, just from the floor. I'm going to have to get my arms around you and, wrestle with my own body as much as anything else to find the energy and the strength to get you out. And I kind of think that probably Jesus just put his hand on your shoulder and, come on, let's get you out of here. I can confidently say we can all take our eyes off Jesus because I can do it. And there are times when we just start to kind of sink in whatever life's throwing at us. And I want you to know this morning that Jesus is there and has the ability just to raise you up out of the circumstances that you might be finding yourself in. And how cool is that? And that's worthy of our praise. The last kind of storm that I was thinking of was at the crucifixion. Jesus is nailed to the cross, and it goes dark. And it goes dark for some time, so it's not just a wee eclipse of the sun or anything like that. It goes dark. There's a storm. And sometimes even when Jesus Strike all my enemies on the jaw. Break the teeth of the wicked. From the Lord comes deliverance. May your blessing be on your people. A walking, talking contradiction. I want the Lord to bless the people, but also the ones that are standing in it, break their teeth. You know, life's hard. And it's hard sometimes to know how to deal with things. If you're in a hard place, surrender. Don't try and do it in your own strength. It'll last so long, and then you'll just be even tireder than you were at the beginning. Let it go. Lay it down. Tough to do sometimes, but the best thing to do, just lay it down. The words, your life's not falling apart, it's falling into place. I guess you learn that as you go on in your Christian faith, as you go on in your Christian walk. Your life's not actually falling apart. It can feel like it at times. It's fallen into place. As long as we have our eyes, our heart set on Christ, then He'll teach us things through all the life situations that we face. Maybe you need to hear that this morning. Maybe you need to take that on board, that actually your life's fallen into place. God's doing something in your life that it's not here yet, it's not arrived yet, but it will, and He's preparing you for it. Jeremiah 29 verses 11 through to 14 talks about God having a plan and a purpose for us. It's a plan, it's a purpose to prosper us, to raise us up, to do us good. I don't know what your life situation is at the moment. If it's a tough one, this is maybe going to sound hard, but look to the future. Look at what's to come. Don't get stuck looking at what's happening right now or what has happened in the past. Look to the future, because your future's brighter than it is maybe right now. God has plans to prosper you, to raise you up. I think that sometimes God uses the storms, the trials of life to actually do something in our lives, to mold us, to shape us, to change our way of thinking or the way that we see and understand things, to fit life around Himself. You see, you can be in a situation where you get really, really angry, really frustrated. And I've been there in the past few weeks. I've been there. And it's a historical thing. We bought a house that needed a lot of work done on it. I knew it needed a lot of work done on it. I had no idea how much work needed done on it. And Helen's been told, had I known, we would not have bought the house. 6 months ago, the back wall came down. It's a big wall. And we praise God that we were in Hamilton and nobody else was around. I've lifted all the bricks now. There's no skeletons, so it's safe. No one was hurt. And it sat there for 6 months because it's just not the weather to build a wall. It just got to me. Every morning, every night, taking the dogs out, and I'm looking at them. And I'm really angry. And I'm angry because the guys that built the wall ripped the woman off, the woman who'd had the house before us. They'd taken her money and they'd done half a job. I was actually able to take the stones and clean them up and reuse them. I should not have been able to do that easily. And I could do that very easily. And I was angry. I was angry that they ripped the woman off. I was angry that I had to build the wall. Well, I didn't have to build the wall. I could have let someone in and paid them the thousands of pounds that they were going to charge me, you know. And I could have taken a loan that would have, would have lasted however many years to do that. Either way, I'm just like, I'm angry. Sometimes I can use anger. I don't know about yourselves. Sometimes I can use anger positively. So the positive aspect of that was there was big 3 foot by 2 foot slabs. Now, if you don't know what they look like, you go down to B&Q, you try to move one, yeah? And I had to lift them. My body's not really designed anymore for lifting them. But I went out one Saturday morning, just full of rage. I mean, I'd gone beyond anger. I was full of rage now. And I went out, and I'm like, them. Hell's like, do you want a hand? I was like, step back. And I lifted them. And I've, periodically through life, I have done that. Been really angry at things, and I just channel it all into energy, and I do things that I don't think I was really capable of doing. You can only do that for short bursts. I lifted a few of them, and it's like, job done. Back into the house. You can only do it for so long. The positive aspect, the looking forward in that situation, is that actually we can reconstruct the wall to a shape. It's going to sound daft. I kind of know what I'm talking about here. The wall didn't need to be built the same way as it was. I changed the way that the wall was built. I believe it will be stronger, but also the shape of it is different because actually I want to do some other things in the garden. So I've taken a negative and turned it into positive. Sometimes that's the way we need to approach life as well. What good can come out of this situation? And we'll look at those and we can say, well, that would be a good thing. And that's what we move forward, kind of holding on to. Once we get over the anger, the frustration, I find, I'm a poor role model here, I find that's the time to lay it down. Because when I'm really, really angry, really, I'm not really in a frame of mind to lay it down. But afterwards, when you get over it, when you've used all your energy, you've calmed down a little bit, surrender it. Whatever it is that's bothering you, give it up. No point in holding on to it. There really isn't. Lay it down. When we take our focus off life's storms or difficulties, we can be reconciled to God's plan to prosper us. We can be reconciled to God's plan to prosper us. How right is that? Maybe you need to think about that. Maybe I need to think about that. But as long as I'm holding the grudge and the bitterness and the anger and the rage, am I really reconciled to God's plan? Not in its fullness. I don't think so. I don't think so. Because ultimately it's going to be aimed at someone. And if I meet that someone in the street, I'm not really going to be the example that Jesus would want me to be. Give it up that we may be reconciled to God's plan to prosper us. And life isn't falling apart, it's falling into place. 2 Corinthians chapter 5 says we are ambassadors for Christ. Ambassadors for Christ. And as such, we are called to resemble Christ, to act and speak like Christ. I've been so angry. So angry for so long. My relationship with God was being affected. My sleep pattern had changed. The naughty part of me says that was quite good, because I actually got to sleep. But having laid it all down and said to God, I can see the good in this. I can see the positive in this. and focusing again on Christ. Normal service was resumed, and I was awoken at 1 o'clock in the morning by God kind of tapping my shoulder saying, it's time to pray now. The being reconciled to God doesn't mean that it's all going to be smiles and roses and that it's going to be easy, because my experience this time is actually that's not quite how it was. God taps me on the shoulder and says, waking up, it's time we prayed. And actually the people that we prayed for were women, and I prayed for an older generation of women, the ones who, to have a child and not be married was just a big taboo. I guess that still goes on in some countries. Big taboo. They had abortions. Their families told them, you're not having the child. Or they had the child and had to let the child go. And I spent the next couple of hours praying for these women, for all that they were going through, for the storms, for the hardships, for the hurts, for the memories, for maybe the things that they hadn't been able to let go, for the anger maybe towards some of the people that had been around them at the time. Prayed for these women. And I prayed for the other end of the scale as well. And I prayed for the young girls. The young girls that are sold or stolen from their families. Sold to be child brides. Sold into the sex industry. Taken away from the love of their families. I guess maybe I was in a better place to do those intercessions, because it was kind of fresh in my mind, just God teaches us things in the hard times that we can use them. We can use them for good. I'd like to think that my prayers made some difference. I'd like to believe so. But I just want to say to you, life might have been hard recently. It might still be hard. God's doing things in your lives. He has a plan for you, a purpose for you. He's building you up, making you strong. He will prosper you. I guess it might not be financially, but in terms of character and becoming Christ-like, you will do great things for his kingdom. Each and every one of us. I have no doubt about it.